Hello everyone, my name is Ritesh Jain and I did my master's in aeronautical engineering from Politecnico di Milano, Italy. And I'm really grateful for Abhishek Kashana and Open Source Study for inviting me here today to present my research work. And I would be glad if I could help or contribute in future researchers or anybody's research work through my contribution or through my research which I did. So thank you so much and I'm glad to be here. So the topic of my thesis was urban air mobility, adding wings to urban transportation. So you might be wondering what is UAM? So it's urban air mobility basically. So urban air mobility, this is associated with a very amazing new technology, which is flying taxis, or you can say electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, which you might have heard like flying cars and taxis from the very futuristic things, but it's on the verge. So now the question comes, why this topic? So I have been always fascinated about drones. So all my bachelors, I used to do a lot of things with them, and when I started to do my masters in helicopters, and I was touched with different things as well. But this topic always remained close to me. So one day, like I proposed it to my professor. Okay, professor, I want to do something in this field in urban air mobility. So he said, like, yeah, why not? Like there are a lot of people who are not aware of such things now, so we can do something like a preliminary studies and let people say like how we can utilize it into our daily to daily life and how they can change the world. So here I am presenting you today my thesis work. So before doing the thesis work, I would like to tell you about a bit about methodologies, how I did my thesis, because there might be a lot of people who face a lot of problems when they start on a certain topic. So let me tell you a brief like how I started this. So first of all, like I said, like I had a very much interest in this topic, urban air mobility. So I used to follow all the news from this topic. I used to follow all the companies specifically on LinkedIn. So I used to know what's happening around in the industry, who's the leader, who's getting funding, what kind of tests they are doing, what kind of deals are going on. So this is very important when you are researching on a topic. You stay updated on each and everything on this whole planet. Doesn't matter in what country. You have to really stick to the topic. You have to be informed well. So this is the first thing I did. I stayed well connected with the topic. I knew what's happening around. Second, what I did, I tried to speak with few people. I made connections on LinkedIn. I spoke to my professor. I spoke to other professionals to connect me with the people who are working in the industry, in the urban air mobility. They could be engineers or they could be advisors. They could be anyone. They could be experts who are working on the topic. So I try to speak with them, try to share knowledge, try to share the gain from them, from their experiences, their perspective, what they have to say about it, where the market is heading to, where the research is heading to. Okay. And the third thing was the Google. Of course, like Google is everything. So you Google things, it will give you answers, but it's not like very simple. Like Google is an ocean of data, so you have to be very precise. And you, I won't say precise, like you should know what you are seeking for. Like the you have to ask the right information to the Google, then only you will be able to get right information. So this can only be done when you have some some base. So to provide you some base, like he maybe my presentation can help you out, my thesis can help you out to provide you some base and to gain some knowledge out of it. So without further ado, let's start the presentation. Okay, so let me take you to the roadmap of today's work. So first I'll be describing you the problem, why in the first place this things came, then the potential solution, then the advantages and the challenges, potential business cases. So this is the place where I'll tell you like a main part of the thesis, like where I said like, okay, these are the things where you can involve these EV tolls for some interesting business cases, and they can be really effective. Then the conclusion. So the problem. So we all know like everybody is moving these days to the urban areas. In somebody like me who's coming to another country for the education, somebody in search of jobs. So there could be a lot of reasons for people moving to the urban areas, which is leading to increasing the demand for urban land, demand for transportation, demand that proportionally is the increase in number of vehicles, the road congestion, and the population, right? So it's a big problem. Day by day, if you see in the graph, like this is, I'm just considering a specific country, which is Italy, where I did my master's from. So the major urban areas, the population is increasing each and every year, so it's getting big problem than we are understanding right now. We are underestimating the problem of increasing population in the urban areas. So right now, what is the ways of transportation in urban areas? We have metros, we have tram, we have buses, we have taxis, right? So, but now I'm saying we will be introducing a new term which is eVTOL. These are electric vehicles which take off and land vertically. Okay. So this could be a potential solution to all the problems I mentioned it before. Let's move. So the concept of UAM. So what is UAM? So UAM is nothing but a broadening term for urban air mobility, and we are adding a new dimension as air into the transportation system. These are, as they are electric vehicles, these are sustainable. So these, how they can be used, they can be used as cargo, they can be used as passenger vehicles. And this is not new. Like if I tell you, like, these people started to think about these flying taxis or flying cars from early 1910 to 1950. So there was a time when people used to fascinate. Then the time of helicopter came. So helicopter is not very different from these are also like helicopters, but helicopters failed due to a lot of their complex design issues, their noise, their fuel inefficiencies, a lot of other problems. Like, we also know there are several accidents each year due to helicopters. So they are really not something who would keep up the urban air mobility thing from that time. Then the emergence of the new kind of species came, which are the eVTOLs. The emergence of UAM, it came into the picture in 2010. And in 2000 until 2018, like, people started to develop their prototypes. Like, they started to speak in the market, and market suddenly started to take their interest again into it. So right now we are in the phase 4, where the testing and certification is going on, and I'll tell you, like, which are the major companies in the run right now, and what kind of aircraft and what kind of configuration they are making. That is for the later in the presentation. Phase 5 is like short and medium range. Like, right now we are not very efficient with the electric propulsion thing, so we cannot take like a very mid range or shorter term range. So that is something which will be continuously developing over time, and later, like in the longer phase, will be mid and longer operations. So let's talk about the current market. So what's happening in the eVTOL market throughout the world? So right now, over 30 companies are building eVTOLs for the urban air mobility, and this market is supposed to cross over 1 trillion by 2014. And recently, companies like Archer, Joby, and Lilium, they already announced their IPO. And on top of that, to promote these things, people are tying up with the Olympics. Like in the Paris Olympics, there is a company called Volocopter. They recently partnered with the Olympics Association to provide their services during the Paris Olympics 2024, and also in the Italian Winter Olympics. So these things are picking up pace very fast. And recently, if I tell you, there is a company, they signed a major deal with UPS, and a lot of other things are going on in the market. So I spoke about UAM, but let's elaborate the term. So UAM is based on four major pillars. First is the technology, of course. Then the airspace management, which is of course important, you all know. Then the infrastructure, because as these are not even helicopters and these are not airplanes, they have their own kind of infrastructure. Then the regulatory framework. So these are the four main pillars this UAM is based on. Then I said about the infrastructure, so let's talk about it for a moment. So these are very latest and the modern kind of designs provided by one of the UK company. uh, these are called vertiports. So these will be like, you see, it can be anywhere. Like, it's not really big, it's compact than an airport, and it's slightly bigger than a helipad, I would say. So it's a modern design. We need, and it cannot be only on the roads. It can be on the ground, on a sky, on the sea platform, or it can be on a high rising building, right? So it has its own advantages as well. Now let's talk about the vehicle design and configuration. So I identified few of them. So let's go one by one. First in the line is multi-rotor drone. So this is nothing but your multicopter drones. So you have multiple rotors, and which are solely, these rotors are used for moving forward, accelerating, and the vertical movement as well. So two of the companies who are making such is, first one is Volocopter, you can see the first, and the second is EHang. They are developing such vehicles. The second one is Kitty Hawk and Cora Beta Technologies. These are lift plus cruise types. So what's happening? So you have different propulsion system for the lift and a different propulsion system for the cruise, like an airplane. Let's go on the third one. So third one are like transitioning multicopter type. So you have seen like a V2 Osprey aircraft. So these are something like that. So vertical aerospace, the first one, and the Joby in the second image, they are making such kind of aircraft. So in this aircraft, what happening? They have a tilting rotors. So these tilting rotors are bothly capable. Like not all rotors are tilting. So the forward ones are tilting, and these tilt motion is capable of like moving across like these designs the these how to say, like these are the ones which control the direction of the aircraft basically. So moving forward, this is like my favorite type of plane, or like in in terms of design and the technology now we are talking about. So this is the swiveling duct fans. So multiple duct fans are installed on the wings, and these wings are thrust vectored. You might have heard about this term. So these are the unique form of thrust vectors called duct electric vector thrust, the EVT, eVTOL configuration. And the company which is developing is Lilium Jet. It's a German company, very famous. Then comes the John Air Mobility. This is gyrodine. This is not. This is something like really like a helicopter, just a blade which is moving through electric propulsion and few rotors on the wings, and really it's really similar to the helicopters, and it's already pre-qualified by fire regulations. Now, like what I did, like I went to their websites and here and there, and I tried to put all of these in a configuration. So why, you see, there is a difference in the range and the speed of these aircrafts. So why I put this table is just to understand for how we can utilize these machines for different purpose. Say you want to move for a longer distance, you want to travel like more than 100 kilometers, or you want to move a payload which is heavier than 100 kgs. So according to the specifications of these machines, you can choose which machine will suit for your operations, right? So it really depends. Not all kind of configurations are suitable for all kind of operations. They are limited with their range, and they are limited with their payload, and they are limited with their seating capacity, right? So with this table we can easily see which ones would be very best for the operations which we have in the head. Let's move forward. So UAM is not just limited to flying taxis, you know. There could be or like moving cargo. There could be a lot of other things. They have a lot to offer, like disaster relief services, air ambulance, firefighting, or like joyrides. Like a lot of people like to travel around the city. They take joyrides. Police and military surveillance, sports or air cargos, media. So there could be a lot more than, you know, just the air taxis or moving cargo. They have ample amount of applications in the world. So let's talk about benefits and a few of their, what do you say, challenges. So benefits are, you know, like less travel time. Of course, they are fast machines, sustainable urban environment. They are electric propulsion, so makes sense. Accessible to remote and suburbs, like you can easily go to suburb areas and you can come back to the city whenever you want. Economic infrastructure, nodal transportation, and etc. Right? So they have like some really certain amount of benefits which can benefit to our growing modern world, right? So then the challenge is noise, of course. Like when we are rotating the rotors, like it creates some noise, and these machines are supposed to fly over the city, over the population area. So this is a problem which people are trying to address. These are the challenges. Then energy storage, of course, like storing energy for a longer coverage area or longer operation, they need more storage energy, which is a problem. Complex automation softwares, because there could be possibly some hacking kind of thing, so you have to be like autonomous software are like really well. Certification, air traffic, and public acceptances, etc. So people are trying to, you know, deal with these challenges, and the results are coming very well, to be honest. Let's move forward. Next is potential risks, right? So potential risk, like as I mentioned about some challenges, potential risk are also like the turbulent weather, the flying objects like birds and everything, you have to consider them as well, like the technical failures, poor air traffic management, or like the business which you are trying to do, but the expense, it's like it's not worth it, unprofitable businesses and everything. And one of the thing is public might not accept it, right? So sometimes like people are afraid to accept these new technologies, so it's also a challenge, although people are trying to run a lot of tests with the public, like how they will accept it, and they're trying to educate them, so it should not be a big problem coming up in the future upcoming years. So let's move forward. Now is the time, potential business cases. So this is something is really interesting, and try to find out near about in Italy, how Italy and nearby, how we can actually put these machines into operation and create some good business opportunities. So first is in the Venice. So people might have heard about Venice. Like, yeah, it's a very romantic city in Italy. Thousands of people come here every year to visit, to make their vacation and spend a lot of money over there. And it's, why it's a beautiful island city where hundreds of islands are together. So people come here to, a lot of people, there is a services where you can take a tour of these islands from the sky, from a helicopter, from a chartered flight. So you can replace actually these helicopters and chartered flight with these eVTOLs, and they could be a really nice solution. So if I say like a roughly one flight, like 1 hour cost you, for two people cost you around 200 euros, and for the same money you can have a better experience and the sustainable experience in these aircraft, which are much more safer than the ones which are rightly currently operational. So they have a heavy advantage, plus the nothing is compromised. And also like when you have to provide the maintenance and everything, these machines are a bit better than the existing solutions. So there is a huge potential for these machines for such a business case, providing joyrides and the tours in cities like Venice. Let's move on to the second one. Okay. So the second one is air taxi and the pooling. So you might have, like all the times like airports are far away from the city, and it's a problem, like you have to go there, it takes time like an hour or so every time you go to an airport, and it costs a lot as well, like regularly these taxis or like these the buses and everything, they cost more than the regular things. So, and a lot of times there could be traffic, so it could cause you, it could cause you delay, to lose your flight, so you can miss your flight as well. A lot of times it happens, especially when you run here and there, like very often for a business and everything. So to solve this problem, you can really utilize these vehicles. You can put it as a carpooling, like carpooling, taxi pooling. You can use it like airport taxi, airport shuttles. So if I give you examples, what's happening here in the graph, so you see in the first one, from Malpensa, it's a big airport near Milan, and there is a place Como where a lot of people go. So you can cover this distance. It's like around 40 kilometers by air, right? So if you go by car, it takes you 45 minutes to reach there, and it costs you around more or less 150 euros or like 120 euros, right? So when if I say you can cover the same distance in 15 minutes with a better experience of your ride, comfortable ride with a view, in the for more or less the same price, won't you take it? Yeah, of course, anyone will take it. So it could be a huge business case. And similarly, like if I say airport shuttle from Malpensa airport to Centrale station, which is the main train or bus station inside Milan, so there is a heavy traffic between this route, and a lot of people might be interested to go. It's more or less the same, 46 minutes by taxi. The price is around 100 to 120 euros for a normal taxi. And by this utilizing eVTOLs, you will just take 15 minutes for this whole route without any tension of any traffic or anything. And money is approximately more or less. So you can enjoy the beautiful view as well, the privacy, the times you are saving. So it's very interesting and could be a really good potential business case for these vehicles. Let's move on to the third. It's intercity bus. So what happens, like if I there are a lot of people who work between, who juggle between two cities for work a lot of times, like nearby cities, people often go from one place to another, and they really need some fast means of vehicle without any delays and without any tension. So for example, Milan to Turin, the distance is approximately 143 kilometers, and it takes around like 1 hour and 49 minutes according to the Google. So by using these machines, you can easily save your 1 hour, like really 1 hour. You can reach there in 40 to 45 minutes by using these vehicles. Of course, it's going to cost you a little bit more, but you see, it would save you a lot of time. So it's not for like usual public, but it's for more like business like people. It's a niche category of business. Like not a lot of people will be able to utilize it, but there are still in the market. Like I spoke to a few people, there is a need and there is a market for such services as well. So it's really interesting for some high-end business people. Yeah. So let's move on to the next. So as I said, like it's not only the air taxi, but more than that. So air ambulance and handling the medical emergency near around the area. So near around Milan, there are around 4 or 5 helipads, and on these helipads we can station these vehicles. These are more safe, less noisier than helicopters, and more easier to tackle. So of course, it's a way better than a helicopter right now. It's a way better solution. We can implement them easily, and you for like these emergency cases, you do not need a very huge infrastructure as well, so you can right away use these vehicles, put on the helipads, and you can cover almost all the major areas nearby where you do not have better emergency solutions, better hospitals. You can bring people from there and you can take it to Milan in the good hospitals, and it could really affect the lives of people who are living around, like in case of any emergencies. So it's a very interesting business case in the Lombardia region for the air ambulance cases. Next, very interesting thing. So, how about let's talk about some islands. So, have you heard about Ibiza and Palma? So, they are two interesting islands, very famous islands. It's near Spain, right? So, Ibiza to Palma, if a ferry goes, it's a ferry ride, so it takes almost 4 hours and 47 minutes between these two. 4 hours and 47 minutes. And people like it, people enjoy the sea and everything, right? So, what if I say you are not compromising your view and you don't have to compromise the time as well, right? So, if I say that you can fly from Ibiza to Palma in 1 hour, okay, less than an hour, I would say, less than an hour, you are saving almost 4 hours in your trip from moving to Ibiza to Palma, and you are having the extraordinary experience of the sea from the top. You can see from the top, just enjoy a fabulous ride. People will take it. Like it's a interesting business case from flying one place to another and save time. And also, it's not just that. You can easily move cargo from one place to another, which will help because like the tourists are moving a lot these days, and fulfilling their old requirements needs extra cargo, right? They need extra things, and it takes a lot of time right now, like moving ferries here and there. So it's not just a solution for people who are seeking for entertainment. It's also for the people who are trying to provide business over there, like who are trying to provide things over there on these remote islands. So you can take things from the city and put these into the islands very easily. So it could, like, instead of seaways you can use airways, and you can save a lot of time, and also like you will save oil spills and everything. These are more sustainable solutions, so you won't be destroying the sea ecosystem as well. So there are a lot of positive points and an excellent business case for such things. So let's come to the conclusion. So basically these machines gonna revolutionize the future, like once elevator did to the constructions. So because of the elevator, you can like there is no limit to the buildings now. Like it's reaching to the sky. So same gonna happen with eVTOLs. With these, there could be a lot of things, a lot of new things, and there's no stopping once these are into the commission. So they'll bring a lot of things to our modern generation. They have a lot to offer to the humans. And I mean, there are some problems like, but it's on the doorstep. Like the people already claim that they will start these flying taxi services somewhere near in 2 years. So upcoming 2 years, this is on the door, and this is gonna change the world. I will just say that. Thank you so much. This was it. If you have more questions, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and you can easily reach out to me. I'll be here and gladly answering your questions. Thank you so much.